My name is Henry Wermuth, and I was born April 1923 in Frankfurt am Main, Germany. There were 4 in our family: my parents, my sister, and myself. In 1942, I was already 1 month in the first camp when mother and sister were taken from me. The name of the first camp was Klaj, an ammunition camp. We were there about 9 months. I worked at the head office because I could speak German, and I made graphs. That first camp, which was in a way against the others, lenient. The grapevine told me that it was Hitler himself would have passed the next morning going to the Eastern Front, went about 2 kilometers along the rail, and I found heaps of wood and stones there which are placed on the rails. I think it would have lifted the locomotive, the engine, out of its rails, and I hoped to kill Hitler. I saw a man not wearing a hat, sitting at the window and with some papers. And his haircut and the mustache from about 80 meters told me it was Hitler, which was later corroborated that he went to the front. But I had already blocked the rail. Now I was standing there mesmerized, waiting for the big crash to come. It didn't come. But I got a medal 53 years later from the German government just for trying. When we heard that there were transports to the east, I tried to make a hiding place for mother and sister in the attic, but they were only there for 1 night, and I don't know how they died. I have got a choice of thinking. Was it by gas, by bullet, or was it in the overheated and overpopulated cattle train? I don't know. They could have died there already in the August heat. I have a choice, but I never know. The second camp was Kraków-Płaszów, Zwangsarbeitslager, forced labor camp. For me, who has been in Auschwitz, for me, and this is personally, it was the worst camp with the worst experiences. Goethe, the commandant, who boasted that he was the biggest murderer of all time, he boasted, he delighted in killing. He said he had killed 84,000 people himself. On my right was a taller fellow. He bent down to look, and he got the first shot in the middle of the forehead. With shock, I tried to help him, and this movement probably saved my life. The next bullet tore the jacket, the collar of my jacket, and with a shock, my knees buckled. I don't know if it was presence of mind. I let myself drop. The third shot felt a 60-year-old boy who fell on top of me. I closed my eyes and held my breath. The blood convinced him that we were all dead. I heard steps again, closed my eyes, and I heard his voice. He recited the first few words of the Kaddish, Yiskadal Viskadash. When I heard his voice, I called to him, Daddy, in German. Daddy, I'm not hurt. Ich bin nicht verletzt. So his heart nearly stopped. The next camp was called Kielce. It was under civilian administration, and there were no deaths in 10 months I was there. It was probably the hardest work I ever did, but the others, being their first camp, they had a lot of their possessions with them. They put their noses up to the horse meat we were offered, and I had 2 or 3 portions. I really got strong there. Strong enough for almost the rest of the war. My father told me, should we be gassed? Breathe deeply. We went to the gas chambers, which were probably per square foot or so more killings than ever any other square foot in the world. But we had hot water instead. A nice advice from a very practical father. Breathe deeply and get it over quickly. The 4th camp was Auschwitz. In Auschwitz, once you have survived the gas chambers, you had the feeling that you will see the end of the week more than in Płaszów, Kraków-Płaszów. But the food rations were already smaller and designed to kill a person in 6 to 8 weeks. So after 6 weeks, going down to almost what was called in camp language, the Muselmann. Muselmann were the skeletons who, through labor and hard work and little food, became skeletons, fit for nothing. Either they dropped at work or were selected for gas chambers. The next camp was Nordhausen. After a lengthy train journey, where 5,000 people entered the train, 2,500 survived, we ended up in Nordhausen. We were there only for 8 days. They had no work for us. There were too many of us, so they sent us away. But not before we witnessed 3 more hangings. The next camp after Nordhausen was Osterode. Life in Osterode was hard, but not too bad. My father, unfortunately, had no such easy job. Of course, I was sorry for him to do the harder work than I did. But at least when a German gave me some of his bread, I managed to give it to him. That was my consolation. We were there only for 3 weeks. We were pushed off to the most fatal camp. The 7th camp was Helmstedt. The Kapos were hitting us mercilessly. To make it short, within a few weeks, our people of 150 shrunk to 30. The bread of one of the Germans was stolen. Of course, who could have done it? Only Jews. The block holders then asked every Jew, did you do it? No, 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 no. Only let everybody go. I thought he would let us go as well. But when it came to us, we were arm in arm. He didn't even ask. He said, of course you didn't do it. And he lifted a stick like a table leg and he hit it me first over the head. I luckily put my hand in between, and probably that saved me. My father was not as quick. He had hit him and he made a hole in his head. Blood spurted out. I saw him the next day. He was sitting there smiling. I thought I was all right. I'll make it short. He died the next day, 8 days before liberation. When I saw my father there, I was of course devastated. Having saved my life and vice versa, having gone all through that misery, and to die 8 days before, it haunted me all my life. Anyway, the last camp at the very same day when he died was Mauthausen. When I entered the camp, 5 people in a single bed. 5, the food ration was every day smaller. I became a skeleton as well. On the 5th of May, somebody stood and looked out the window and said in imperfect German, "Ein Amerikaner Soldat." I can see an Amerikaner Soldat, an American soldier. With a stick, I moved out. And outside the barracks, I saw a heap of pyramids of corpses. So I went away until I ended up in a barrack. It was dark inside, but the sun was shining on me. And when I looked through the window, I saw a skeleton. And when the skeleton moved with identical moves to me, I noticed that the skeleton was myself. Not having had any mirrors for years, I didn't know. I waved to the skeleton smiled back. And I said, "This Muslim is going to live."